Everybody, and welcome to the vlog today. So today we're actually going to continue. I had a little success with folks trying to understand what they should and shouldn't be doing when they are working from home. And I want to pick a technology that hopefully many of you are used to, and the reason why you should make sure you're logging into that, and that's the VPN. So VPN can be your best and your worst friend, especially as you're trying to get things done. So ideally, VPN technology that's not being trying to get hacked on a laptop that's is up to date. You got the 2020 version of whatever laptop with the best VPN, and you're on the fastest network, and boom, you don't have any problem with productivity. Doing your work, logging in, everything's good, everything's great. And that's not necessarily what we're finding right now in these trying times. One, because many of our networks are lagging. I've been having some issues with my network just because there's the amount of individual usage, how many people are using it, how many people are streaming or binge watching, as opposed to anything else that is congesting the network, which cause lags. And then you have individuals that this is their first time working from home. Now, I'm a road warrior. I've worked from home, like I said, for years. So for me, it's easy for me to understand, how to do certain things. And we talked about the home office last week, a couple blocks ago. And so for me it's like, oh, I've this is 10 years in the making, right? So maybe even longer than that I've been working from home in some capacity. So for me it's easy to understand, but for things or entities or certain sectors, it's not that easy. Just think about lawyers. Now, I am a lawyer. I'm a cybersecurity and privacy attorney. I've been on the ops side, tech side for most of my career, but I don't do court cases. So how in the world do you now remotely get a case done? And you can suspend deadlines, and I'm getting updates from the state board of Texas on the things that they're doing during this time. But all of a sudden you go from a you know in-person formalized process to this outside. You're on the phone. The court may not be updated in their technology, your firm may not be updating their technology, you may have a desktop, you may not even have a laptop. So all of these things that are coming out, it's fascinating for me because these are things that I wouldn't regularly think about. And so I'm getting these questions and I'm like, okay, well, of course you should have a VPN, but what if you have an older VPN on an older computer? That may be very painful. And regardless of the type of technology you have, the many complaints that I hear all the time is VPN slows everything down, so I don't log into VPN. So, if you use if your job provides you a VPN, use it. Just deal with the lag, deal with the delays, deal with the slowness if there is any. It's going to be painful. It could be painful. It very well could be painful because organizations give, they may plan for 1 to 2 people being remote, but not their entire workforce. So now you know you're going to Best Buy, you're buying laptops, and you're trying to maintain your business in this time, and you're at least from an attorney perspective, you're not billing any clients for any of this. You're just trying to get back up and running again. And I say use, like I said, use the VPN to the extent practical and possible. But I understand, I'm practical. I mean, I've been told many times, Mary, I don't log into the VPN, and it becomes difficult because if you are an organization that all of your employees can get their work done without logging into the VPN, or your employees can get their work done because you're using software providers that are in the cloud, yeah, it could be faster, but it could be exposing you to a lot more risk, right? And so you just have to figure it out. You have to find a balance. If it's just too darn slow, if logging in the VPN is not getting you anywhere and is just taking you hours to do something that it would take you minutes to do, or less than hours to do, you have to do a risk assessment. And this is what I always say. I always do a risk assessment. It's it's a natural type of thing that I'm like, okay, so what are the risks of exposure to what I'm doing, and what I mean by that? So just take a public Wi-Fi. Have I ever logged into public Wi-Fi? Yes, I have. Have I ever logged into airplane Wi-Fi? Yes, I have. Have I ever logged into the airplane or the public Wi Fi to check my bank account information? No, I have not. That's the type of thing when I say risk assessment. It all depends on what you're trying to do. Have I logged into Wi Fi at a hotel to get to download my messages or my text messages on my phone? Sure, I have. I have VPN technology on my phone? Yes, I do. If I was doing something that required an extra layer of security, absolutely. But even because VPN, if you're not a road warrior, you haven't been VPN in airplane, it's not happening. There's absolutely nothing, nothing pleasant, especially if you're a tech person like me and slowness kills you. It's just nothing pleasant. That's why I just read a book. I don't, unless I try not to work on the plane, I just read a book because that's faster than the VPN sometimes. But when you're thinking about that technology and utilizing that technology, you have to think about what your responsibility is based on what you're doing. If you're dealing with client information, you're dealing with PII, you're dealing with, sensitive documents. There's no, you're just going to have to deal with it. Get on the VPN. I mean, the risk is not worth it. If you're, checking email, or you're doing something else that is not as sensitive, you have to do that assessment to, is it worth the time? It's going to take me longer to do this. It may take me longer to do this. It may not take me longer to do this, but is it worth it? It could be. There could be times that it's actually worth it. So for you to understand, as you're looking at these technologies, how to get that done. And you also want to watch out, because we're in this emergency right now, just throwing something up there without even knowing, right? And that's for my IT folks out there that are servicing their clients, that or even for the law firms out there that are just trying to get up and running, you want to be careful, because bad guys are taking advantage too, right? And you want to have a reputable provider. Mess that word up. A reputable I can't say it again. A reputable provider to provide you with that VPN technology. I'm not even going to cut that out. I'm going to let you guys laugh at me on that one. Um, in understanding that those types of technologies exist and that you should utilize that technology, but being careful on how you purchase that technology, and your do's and don'ts, right? Again, if it's company sensitive information, it shouldn't be a question of whether or not you should use your VPN technology. If it's less than that, you have to decide for yourself, and you have to use the guidelines that's provided by your employers, if they do provide you with guidelines, to understand exactly what it is that you need to do in order to get your job done and get approval. I mean, a lot of times, organizations right now that aren't, haven't had the capacity or haven't prepared themselves to have this remote workforce, they're struggling right now, because now they have to tell their employees something and give them some type of information on what they should and shouldn't be doing, as they're now um outside of the purview of the home network, right? And you'll see things out there like, that's why you should do cloud and things like that. Yeah, again, the same risk that are associated with being in a network exist in the cloud. You're just literally expecting someone else, and they may not even be monitoring your cloud for any type of nefarious conduct or anything like that. So all that to be said, do the risk assessment. VPNs are your best friend, but if it's providing you with the pain point, you have to figure out a way to work through and work around and beyond it to get your work done. Hopefully that helped you guys. Hopefully you had a good laugh at my not being able to say reputable provider. I did it that time. Have a good day. Stay tuned for our random thought. Bye. Does your organization have written cybersecurity policies and procedures? If not, you may want to take a look at the Cybersecurity Law Firm of Texas Policy Starter Pack. May have some things out there that may interest you in your organization. One of the most interesting things that I found out when transitioning from the government to private industry is that a lot of organizations just don't write down what their policies and procedures are. And then when there's some type of incident, they have a hard time proving that they were being reasonable in their approach. So please take a look at our starter pack, and if there's anything we can help you with, let us know. Everyone, random thought for today. So I saw this report came out from FireEye specifically about ransomware and trends about. There's some things that were surprising in it, and I'll post a link. I'll put the link in the notes section of the channel of this post. But one of the things that I found interesting, now the title to the article was "They Come in the Night: Ransomware Deployment Trends," and three there were three different things they were looking at. The most commonly observed method of threat vectors of the way ransomware gets in. We talked about before. FBI talked about it was RDP, and then phishing and drive-by downloads. And then they said something interesting. They said in most cases that the ransomware or the hackers remain dormant for up to 3 days before they actually deploy the ransomware, because they of course are doing reconnaissance. They're actually trying to get to understand how the organization works, and where the best bang for their buck is, so to speak. And then the last one just made me laugh because I've known this for years. In 76% of the cases, ransomware was executed outside working hours. Yes, they do. And okay, so I've been a cyber defender for years, and they never happens Monday through Friday between in working hours. It never happens. It always happens nights and weekends. Always, always, always. Um, New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, all of that. They never come during the day. It's never something that happens at the beginning of the day. So I looked at this and I said, that's the case of any hacker. That's APT. That's anybody. They're coming when there's not enough people that are watching, and everybody's watching the network or supposedly watching the network during business hours. So that wasn't a surprise to me. I mean, I've used to run security operations. I've been phone calls all night, all times of the night, and it's only 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when you get these calls. It's never 3 p.m. on a Monday. It never is. So I found that interesting. It's an interesting article. I think it's worth the read. Like I said, the fact that the dwell time, meaning the time between they actually infect a company and the time they actually execute the malware, is 3 days, the average. So that tends to say if your defenders are actually, if cyber defenders are able to figure this out, or to get alerted off of the actual initial entrance into the network, then they could potentially stop anything and stop the whole thing from happening. I'm sure there are technologies out there that can assist with that, but of course, SOC personnel, there's a lot of stuff going on. So it'll have to be specific to that, and be able to determine whatever those TTPs are, tools, techniques, and practices that individual entity or individual hacking group is using to try to infiltrate or to get into the network. But that's the benefit of sharing information, and individuals and corporations and entities belonging to these information sharing organizations, is to figure out how an organization, or how a hacking organization, or how these hackers are actually perpetrating their crimes, because a lot of them don't change. They have MOs, and they want to use the same types of tools, the same types of ways to get into a network. And if you share and now you're looking out for that, then maybe you're able to stop them before those 3 days are up. Good luck out there, cyber defenders. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Guys, thanks again for listening to the Breach Whisperer blog, sponsored by the Cybersecurity Law Firm of Texas. Don't forget to like this post and subscribe to our channel so you can get updates of when we post new things on our channel. In addition, spread the word for me, right? Let's get out there and tell a friend, and so they can all become paranoid cybersecurity and privacy people. Don't forget, if you would like to connect with me on socials, you can connect with me on Twitter at Mary N. Cheney. Use my middle initial always. For my nonprofit, Minorities in Cybersecurity, that is at Mike Leadership, and Instagram and Facebook at MN Cheney Law. And you can find me on LinkedIn just by searching for my name. So if you're interested, connect with me. Thanks again. And just remember, awareness equals knowledge.